Okay, you see what I'm doing? I'm actually going to put a line into that beard just relax. So the bit that I know I'm definitely taking off, just very, very gently, just as if I was putting a pattern in somebody's hair. Can you see I've now created a line in that beard? So that gives me a guide, because all that's going to go. I'm taking that all off. Obviously you need to make sure, just like with anything else that we do, that optically this is straight. Good way if you're struggling with that is to get some, you know, the bedroll that the beauty therapists use. When you're checking after, you can wrap it round and it actually reflects the light back up and it actually shows you the line of what you've done. Okay, so all that under that beard I'm just going to take off. I'm going to go over it afterwards with a blade. Okay, now that hair is growing in that direction, so which way am I going to take it? Anybody? I'm going with it. Very, very gently. I'm not pulling skin yet, but obviously as you get towards the Adam's apple, you do need to pull where skin. So I've just done a tiny little bit of tension on that skin. Why am I pulling that skin away from his Adam's apple, ladies? Yes, basically so that I can clear it without going on the Adam's apple, without hurting him. So now coming this way, start at the other side. Again, working down with that hair, so we're not pulling or anything. So any details need to be bang on and looked after really well, because if they're not, they will pull. Skin is very, very tender on a gent's face, just like it is on ours. Okay. Constant reassurance. Obviously this is like a nice quiet thing. You need to be concentrating. This isn't when you're talking about what they're going to be doing at the weekend. Okay, so I've just put that basic line in now. Sorry. Just flick everything off just to keep an eye. Now can you see I've put a nice, that's where I'm going to taper up from, does that make sense? Okay, so I'm going to get a #1 guide now for the detailers. Clip it on, make sure it's nice and secure. These are pretty good really, because they've got little clips on, you can actually physically hear it click and you know you're on and safe. Unlike clippers that have a nasty habit of falling off. Just put it slightly to the side. Okay, I'm just going to work up. See what I'm doing now? I'm stretching his skin now because I'm going in, and it goes right in underneath. And just like you would with your normal clippers, I'm doing the flick very, very gently. Just go slowly, take it slowly. Okay, stretch the skin upwards. If you decide to do level 3 barbering, obviously you then go into the cutthroat razor. There's 13 moves when you're using a cutthroat razor that you have to learn and have them off pat, the way you stretch your skin and all the different moves and stuff. So now I'm working with all the hair growth patterns now that are showing themselves to me as I start to take the hair off. See, I'm going very slowly, very gently now so that I can see I'm not missing any. And I'm going to create the shape that we want. Okay. So that growth pattern comes this way now, yeah? So as I'm working underneath that to taper that up and out, I'm only going very, very slowly. Just like I've told you with the clippers, just use the top end if you're working on something very small, because that way, if you do make a mistake, you're only going to be working with a very small area that you need to correct. Anybody got any questions while I'm doing this? No questions? the area clean. Can you see the difference already? Are we starting to fade it up? Yes, no?
Yes.
Let's pop the head into the centre panel. And start on the other side now. Sorry, Emma.
Sorry.
So you start at the sideburn.
I'm just blending the sideburns up. I can always, when I'm finished, obviously because we're barbers and we know what we're doing, by the time you finish, you sometimes will just go back over here. So it's like, so is it 10 days since we put your hair?
I think so.
Okay, really strong growth pattern here that we need to look at. Can you already see the iPads? You're already starting to get hair on them, so that would be catastrophic if that went in your client's eyes. The theory of this is very, very similar to the theory of cutting hair, you know, but we're looking for all the same things out. We're looking for contrast criticals, all the things that would affect haircut is very, very similar when you're working on beards. Okay, I'm just bringing it up just under the jawline now. I'm just going to turn it off, and what I'm going to do now, I'm going to change my guide and I'm going to go up to a 1.5 now, because I'm going to start tapering and blending that up into his top beard now. Okay, can you see already that the difference in your colours are starting to change? That is now very, can you see you've got very light and it goes up into very obvious dark. We're now going to taper the dark out. Very, very similar to a faded haircut, if you were fading a haircut. Stretch the skin. Very, at the moment, a lot of the lads are growing, like I just spanked before, the moustaches that start to twist. If you were doing that, you've got to be very careful, because that part there is actually, would be part of their twisting moustache. So just be very, very careful. What I've been doing a lot is with these lads is just literally doing an undercut on their lip, and the rest of their moustache is growing so that they can oil it up into the shape that they want. Very fashionable. You could also need to be thinking about looking at aftercare and home care for your clients' beards. There's a lot of products out on the market. My favourite one is a product, it's called Apothecary, I can't say it, Apothecary 87 the make. Oh, that's not how you say it. It's the old fashioned word for chemist, isn't it? Apothecary. It is. 87, I know it is, I'm just not saying it properly. And basically this guy's got one of the top beard models in the UK, a guy called Chris John Millington, who you do need to Google where it is. So, Chris John Millington.
Really fit.
Oh, he's lovely. Young enough to be my son. And they've just created a range, and these ranges are so that you smell like a man, not like a girl, basically. There's all different smells. But what the beard oil actually does, it not only helps the beard and to shape the beard, but it's conditioning the skin underneath the beard as well. Okay. I think the standards say, and I've never done it, so I would have to check, that you're supposed to wear goggles when you do this. Yeah, like that's the argument. But you need to check, I'll check the standards, not that I will make you wear a pair of goggles, because it's just a bit ridiculous, isn't it? But did you just watch me then, as I knew they were coming towards me, because you can hear them? I just probably pulled a typical deal with this, and I closed my eyes. That was a bit like when I was doing my bike licence, like, the guy said to me, you've got to stop closing your eyes, Julie, it's really dangerous. When I'm scared, I shut my eyes. Not good when you're on a motorbike, that. I think that was the day I decided, actually, I don't want to do this. I think I'm safer on 4 wheels than on 2. I'm going to stick to being a Klingon. Can you see now, there's different lengths gone in that, but that colour is now coming up, and it looks, even though there's different lengths in it now, it actually appears to be all the same length. Facial hair is very, very fashionable at the moment, be it 5 o'clock shadow or a proper big American, what do you call the guys that, what do you call them, people who, the lumberjacks have big beards. Very cultural as well. If you look into it, it's incredibly cultural. And one of the things that I found out doing the research that I've just done recently is that when you go online and start Googling them, the guys that are like in their 20s that are wearing these big beards, they all look very much the same, even though they want to be different. They're inked, they've got these big beards, and they've got a real sort of individual way of being dressed. It's making a statement, isn't it, really? And I really wish that I had a pair of some pockets in the pants. It's very clean shaven now, isn't it? Even though it's still there and it's still longer. What would you use at home, Frank, if you were looking after it at home?
I've generally just used, you know, general shaver, and it's got a bit of a trimmer, hasn't it?
Oh, right, yeah.
So you just trim it down.
Same one that you did on your hair?
No, that's another. I haven't used them before though, the clippers. But the clippers are quite messy, so I don't use them as much on the beard.
Because they're tight, they won't be as tight, or the heads aren't as tight. Do you want to create like a shape there, or do you want that bit underneath your lip gone, or what would you like?
I'll have a shape actually.
A shape, put a shape into it. Anybody ever guess what that bit would be, shape-wise, what they call it? It's a funny name, you wouldn't probably expect it. That shape that I'm going to create it's called a stiletto beard. Google stiletto beards and you'll see what I mean. Right, now can you see, looking at those iPads, why I've put those things on his eyes? All those hairs would be in his eyes, yeah. Right, so the bulk of that job is now done. Now it's all the shaping up and the polishing that we need to do. Just going to change my clipper guide again. Just going to go over his moustache with an attachment on first, just to take some of the bulk off it. This is where it gets a bit funny now, because what you've got to do is you've got to start stretching, and if you've got a beard like Paul's as an example, where he's got a lot of hair here, they have to actually physically get them to make faces. That makes sense? They're boys, they shave and look after their beards all the time, so they'll do it naturally. But obviously as a girl, we don't shave. Well, some of us don't, some of us do, some of us don't. Because you're pushing that skin out, otherwise you wouldn't get at it. Or you pull their top lip down like that. Just, you know, we put mascara on and we're going, yeah? Boys do that when they're shaving. Okay, so I'm just going to run over this just to take some sort of stretch your skin. And I'll come back to that bit in a minute. Okay? Okay, what your standards ask and what you need to do for your standards is now you would use a pair of detailers to make sure that all these edges are done. So I'll detail it first and then I'll show you how to do it with an open blade. Clipper side doesn't cool it down as much as this does. Okay, it's just something that Andy's put together to make sure it does. Okay, so T-bars, if you've got T-bars, sorry Anna.
Oh yeah.
We're clever. Okay.
So that's a steriliser and
It's everything that oils, it sterilises and it cools. It's called Cool Care by Andis. Okay, just get your client again just to tip their face. And all I'm going to do is with the very, very edge of that T, I'm just going to roll up the side just to take any happen off that edge. Up into his hairline, because remember we need to make it look very, very clean. If you were doing patterning in hair, I know you guys aren't, but it's very, very similar to patterning. When I learnt to do this, we weren't allowed to go into patterns until we got these shapes on the face right, because in principle they're the same shapes. They're your curved lines and your straight lines. You create a curved line that will optically look straight. You know, you guys do a concave bob. It's the same principle. Put the head down, you put it up, it looks straight, but you cut it with that concave and it facial hair is the same. Okay, so again, this is when you get used to being able to twist and change and up and down. That's why you remember that you don't need to hold them like there's no tomorrow. Again, I'm just working on that very, very tiny top bit there, so it's on a slight angle, just to clean the area up. Anybody got any questions? You're all very quiet today. When you're doing a real shape on a real haircut, it's really important that you constantly check in once you start, because you don't want to end up with two completely different sides. Keep the area clean, because otherwise you'll think that you've got hairs there that aren't actually there because you've removed them, it's just that they've pinned up. Alright?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then the other side, just do the other side leg. And then clippers doing that, they're not getting hot on the skin.
They're quite warm, but they're not
Just pass me that close. Because when you're doing it like this, it takes longer than it normally will. Just ask, you know, just keep checking. Some guys will just go, some guys will actually go to sleep when you're doing this.
Much you will go to sleep, that noise.
The noise is making you want to go to sleep.
Yeah.
I'm going to go in onto his moustache now, so you need to be watching what I do. It's not a lot to come off, but just be really, really aware now, because it's his lip and it's his... Just stretch his skin a little bit, and again, just the very, very top, go in on an angle, and just let it roll across the top of his lip. Does that make sense? want to make the shape at the bottom. You don't need to do a lot because obviously it's quite sparse as it's going down, so we just want to cut just all that from there. Stretch the skin and be very, very gentle now. Okay, so now you need to stop what you're doing. You need to look and assess, are you happy with what you've done? Main thing is your client going to be happy with what you've done. That's the main thing, obviously, that your client's happy with what you've done. Again, exactly the same when you're cutting hair, you're looking for light and dark, yeah? Again, this is when it doesn't become optical anymore, it now becomes your neck sensitive that kicks in, and it's actually your hearing, because now you're listening for what's coming off as you're rolling those details across the face. Sometimes it can be nothing, and other times you will a little bit go, and that's a little bit that would grow and quicker than the rest. Okay, so I've covered there three of the things that you guys need to do for your level 2 qual.